Hello, So-La-Rah here. I hope you guys are doing well. My apologies for being a little bit sporadic in posting. I've been a little bit under the weather, and then my kids became ill. It's that time of the year, and so it's just been one thing after the other, and trying to maintain my balance, my own energetic balance for the other things I have to do outside of the channel too. So I thank you for your patience with me. I have so many downloads, I don't really know where to begin, but let me start off by welcoming you all here. I welcome you here if this is your very first time, you've just opened the video on YouTube. If you are vibing with the title, I invite you to stay and see if you vibe with my energy and the messages that I've been sent to share with the collective. And if you then do, then you might consider doing the YouTube thing, you know, the liking, the sharing, the commenting, the subscribing, and all that jazz. Welcome to all of you who are returning, whether you've been here from the beginning or you are a recent subscriber. I really do appreciate you being here, and I appreciate all of your support, for this channel as well as my other channel, So-La-Rah Rises. And speaking of my other channel, for those of you who are interested in tarot astrology, I have done. I did do a new moon in Libra eclipse tarot astrology look at the energies and what that means for us going ahead. So it's still pertinent, you know, even past the eclipse event of Saturday. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope that you are happy, you're healthy, you're balanced, and if you're not there yet, that you are fighting for your right to have those things. My readings, my downloads are never here to put you into any kind of fear. If they do, they're probably not for you, because that's not how my guides work. I'm here to empower you. I am here to help you connect deeper with your own intuitive guidance. I'm here to give you the confidence to affirm and confirm those things that your guides and spirit is already speaking to you, to have somebody else reflect that back to you so you can think, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. What I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was intuiting, it's real. That's the point of my being here. So please always use all forms of, you know, guidance that comes into your life. Use it with discernment, including tarot. Okay. Quick announcement. It is Tuesday, the 17th of October. And for those of you who would like a personal tarot astrology reading for the upcoming full moon in Taurus eclipse, where I look at how that eclipse is affecting your own personal astrology, then please make sure to reach out to me via email before Friday, the 20th of October at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will take no orders past that time, and I have just a few more slots for those of you who would like to get readings for the next full moon eclipse, and I have 2 more slots for those who want to do the reading live. And the live dates will occur either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week. So either the 23rd, the 24th, or the 25th of October. Those are the 3 days I have available for those particular live readings. So if you're interested, please make sure to avail yourself of all of the information that is already on my website. It will be under readings, new and full moon readings specifically. There are 5 different formats and choices. So please, when you email me, come to me knowing what it is that you'd like, so I don't have to just redirect you back to the website anyway. I only do bookings like personally through speaking with you and confirming a time and a date. So please make sure that you email me if you want to book with me. My email addresses are below in the description box, as well as my website. But for those of you who may not know how to do that, some of you have said that to me before, my website address is So-La-Rah, SOLARAH.info, and my main email address for bookings is dailyalkhemy@gmail.com, and alchemy is spelled with a K. Okay, if you go to my website, you can also contact me through the contact page, and you can also liaise with me that way. Okay, so that's the main announcement because it's time sensitive. Second announcement is that I have introduced divine alignment readings into my offerings. So you can again check that out on my website. It will be under the readings tab. Okay, and then one final and very important announcement is that for the month of October, There is still a discount going as a thank you to you guys for getting me to 10K of 10% until the end of October on all listed services, okay? So the prices listed on the website do not yet reflect the discount, okay? So let's get into it. As I was setting up, I have so many downloads, I don't know where to begin. I already did a video yesterday, but I'm not happy with it because I feel like I need to hone in on some energies a little bit more. And that reading was a little bit all over the place, but you know, maybe my Virgo is just Virgoing. Maybe I will, you know, post it later. I don't know. But either way, I was getting a message as I was setting up, and then I'm going to get into the specific downloads I want to get into for today. So the message was that I cannot, well, this is me speaking first. I cannot overemphasize the importance of listening to your guides. Okay? When your guides tell you to do things that just don't fucking make sense to you, listen and do it. And I know many of you have, many of you do, and many of you are breaking free out of situations that you thought were impossible, situations where there were so many invisible energies at play that you didn't even know what the fuck was going on in your life and why things weren't working out, because you started to trust your intuition, listen to your guides, and move in accordance with that. But the reason I'm saying this is because a message that was coming through is for a person who listened to their guides even when it didn't make fucking sense, okay? So a few months ago, I think it was like maybe in August, I did a reading that was all about certain karmic timelines having to close out with beings who you've had a history with in another lifetime. It may not have manifested itself terribly here in real time, but it doesn't negate the history that you once had. Okay, so when you have a karmic timeline with another being, you do have the opportunity every lifetime to heal. But sometimes the karmic damage is so intense, and sometimes you're not aware, sometimes they're not aware, and sometimes people repeat cycles of behaviors even if they don't do it physically. And this is why it's so important to listen to your guides. So in that reading, I was saying about how many of those contracts with beings who had these karmic almost like vendetta energies with you in other lifetimes, who were with you in this lifetime to overcome that, and may not have done anything like outright to betray you, but that energy was never resolved, that those contracts were closing. Well, for those of you who, you know, recognize that storyline, or for those of you who, on the other hand, have listened to your guides when they've told you to move away from a person, okay, and it didn't make sense to you why, okay? Oftentimes your guides will tell you, they won't give you a reason right off the bat. Sometimes they will, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they'll only give you a little bit of the reason, and then when you distance yourself enough from the energy, it will begin to be exposed as to why it is you had to move away, okay? So when your guides tell you to move away from a person, whether it makes sense to you materially or not, you do that. Okay, so for some of you, many of you, you've done that. And the message that was coming through was very, very specific. It's to do with someone in your matrilineal line. It's someone coming through your mother's side. And this person is probably a relative. Okay, well, obviously a relative. I meant someone not from your nuclear family. Okay, so aunt, cousin, especially was coming through. Okay, could even be an uncle, but I was getting really strong female energy. And you may have had a relationship with this person, and it may not have been terrible. They may have done some things that you didn't agree with, just like basic human error, but nothing like the really annoying karmic energies that are more obviously trying to fuck with your reality. Okay, for some of you, these energies are deeply connected to very systemic ways of thinking, whether they're steeped in academia or steeped in intellectualism, or they're steeped in like the church. Okay, I got a download that for those of you who have that kind of like dynamic with a relative, and again, it could be anyone, or it could even be a friend for some of you. It's someone who you've had a relatively close relationship with, but they're not immediate family. Okay, they're not in your what's it called? Nuclear. They're not in your nuclear family. You may have received a message from your guides, whether it was years ago, months ago, weeks ago, it doesn't really matter, because time only matters for us on this plane, to distance yourself. And it may have been a really difficult decision for you to make. And it may have been a really difficult decision for you to make because although you may have sensed a change in frequency in the sense that you're healing, you're moving forward, you're not anywhere near being on the same bandwidth of thinking as you once were with these beings, although you may have found it very hard to move away because you couldn't see anything that was abjectly harmful. You couldn't see any reason as to why, and so you probably were questioning a lot, and maybe you even ignored immediately, and you continued to open your energy up to these beings, or continued to be in relationship with them. Okay, and for some of you, there was something that may have occurred to confirm what your guides said. Like I was saying in that reading that I'm talking about, sometimes when your guides tell you not to go and see someone, or to remove yourself from someone's energy, it's because there's something, oftentimes karmic history, and it's not only karmic history, it can also be the energies that they are entertaining that you're not aware of, that clash with your own energy and can cause blockages for you. So I was using the example that my guides told me once, it was like a year ago, they told me they didn't tell me not to to connect with this person, but they told me it was kind of time for me to assess the relationship and realize that I'm not on the same place. And here's me trying to be, all things to all people at the time, and be like, but no, I can still be nice. I can still blah, blah, blah. As soon as I met up with this person, huge ass financial block. Okay. And that is partly because the energies that they were entertaining were energies that wanted to block me, even if they weren't aware on a conscious level, which I don't think they were. I really don't. But it still was an experience that stayed with me. And I when my guides tell me now, for the most part, to back away, I tend to listen. I'll go back and forth and I'll debate with them. I did it one more time and something not as bad happened, but they still showed me the trajectory of events that I opened myself up to, and a painful cycle that was pretty short, that I didn't have to open myself up to if I had just trusted them when they told me that it was the end of the road for me with this person. Okay? And I want to be very careful when I say this, because I'm not here to advocate just getting rid of people. But I am here to tell you, those of you who are on a quick trajectory to ascending, those of you who are here to, be trailblazers, those of you who are here to shine in the midst of a dying world that is so full of darkness that still wants to consume you and others, and you've been sent to be a light and to hold a beacon and to hold a torch and to be the way out. Those of you are ascending really rapidly, and as such, as you ascend rapidly, your frequency is raising. As your frequency is rising rapidly and changing and putting you into higher alignment with your divine truth, you are falling out of sync with other beings, even those who are also rapidly ascending. And it's okay that that's occurring. We will, on this ascension, reach a point of stability where we can have more long-term situations. But for those of you who know that you're here to be way showers and trailblazers and to lead people out of the darkness and into a brand new day and into the new earth, this is just going to be your reality. And which is why you have to hold on to the spiritual guides you have, because when they tell you not to do something, it's always going to be for your protection, even if at the time it doesn't make sense. So to get to the download, okay, somebody who made a decision concerning a relationship, friend, family, I was picking up more family, more female energy, definitely matrilineal side, so mother side, it was coming through, okay? Very strong fourth house energy, Cancerian energy. Maybe you even made this decision during Cancer season, okay? For those of you who made a decision like that, or maybe you're dealing with a cancer, or maybe you are cancer, but those of you who made that decision, there is some kind of spiritual gift that is returning to you now, okay? And this is why this matrilineal energy is important for you to know. I spoke about this in another reading. A lot of your gifts, your talents, your ability to connect with your spiritual wisdom, it comes through feminine energy, and as such, a lot of the time in the physical, you'll connect with it through your mother. And even if you're connecting with it through your father's line, you're connecting through the feminine energy in your father's line, whether it is physically through a female or whether it is energetically through his divine feminine energy. It's because it's sacral chakra energy, which is an energy that is energetically connected to feminine energy. It's not about gender. It's about how things are birthed, okay? But this was really expressing itself, but it could be, take it as it resonates for your own situation. But I was really feeling matrilineal vibes. And the reason you are getting these gifts, and this is where it gets really interesting, is these are not necessarily gifts that are yours directly. They are ancestral in nature, but they're not necessarily, in other words, you weren't the first in line for them. But the reason you are actually going to be receiving this ancestral wisdom or this activation of a gift, that this might be your first lifetime rolling with, the reason you're getting it is because those very beings that your guides told you to move away from, and you listened, they are not walking in their divine purpose, they're not walking in their truth, and they likely won't climb to the frequency necessary for them to connect to that gifting this lifetime. And as such, because we are at a turn of ages and we are actually rooting into the new earth, brand new lineages based upon the best energies, the high frequency energies of our previous ancestry, bloodline and divine at this point, there have to be conduits, there have to be carriers, there have to be beings that are energetically equipped to take these giftings and these powers forward. So for some of you, these beings have completely forfeited it because they have completely not only repressed their power, they've rejected it. So like I was saying, I was getting some of that churchy, intellectual energy where it's like they think that these things can't exist and you're cuckoo from an intellectual standpoint. You're cuckoo if you think this is possible, and you're just so, what would be the word that many of them would use? Something like primitive, or you're so uncivilized to believe that these things still exist. Okay, so people who are, in the upper echelons of academia, they often, not all, I'm not casting judgment, but in my experience, many of them are not able to marry academia with spirit. Okay, so and that is partly the point of academia, is to bring that separation and breach between us and spirit. Okay, but then there are people who are able to bridge the gap, but they tend to be few and far in between. Maybe some of you are those people. That could be if you are in academia and you are choosing to utilize that place that you have in the world of academia to bridge the worlds, then amazing. Maybe this message is for you too. Okay, but this is definitely the energy in terms of the family member of someone who's just like, you're crazy to think these things. It's primitive. It's uncivilized. We've evolved too much. These are the thoughts and the mindsets of people who live in countries where they're not as advanced as us and all this other elitist bullshit. Okay, so that's one thing. And then on the other hand, you have people who are so into the church that they think everything outside of the Bible is the devil. And so that they would never explore past the box of fear that they have been programmed into, and now they're voluntarily choosing to stay into. And because of that, and these people were probably very powerful in their own right, for as long as they could heal themselves, break out of those boxes and reach these higher frequencies that are necessary in order to connect with these gifts This is what ascension is. This is why it's so important to listen to your guides. As you rise, as you heal, and you break out of these boxes and these ceilings that other beings, systems, institutions, groups, etc. have tried to trap you in, contain you in, you are accessing more of your power because you're walking in your truth. As you access more of your power because you're walking in your truth, you're following the light of your soul, you're following your heart, you're following your intuitive guidance, you are climbing in frequency. And when you climb in frequency, certain things that were once not available to you are unlocked. Okay? I have a big ass bottle of kombucha down here and I'm getting thirsty, so hold on a second. As you might tell from my voice, I'm still recovering, so I needed to, hydrate. But yes, so that was a download I was getting. So exciting, exciting times. For some of you, this is really coming through portals that are opening in Scorpio season. That's going to really help you to connect to these invisible gifts, these psychic gifts that have been in your bloodline and have either lain dormant, and then on the other hand, you have these beings who take these gifts and exploit them and use them to hurt humankind, and that's another way that you can inherit some of this stuff, and some of you already have, because you've had beings that have been actively casting spells to keep you out of being a trailblazer, out of being a way shower, out of doing what it is that you literally were born onto this earth plane at this time in history to do. And as such, because they were using they were using your gifts. They were using gifts that are here for the divines as weapons against you. You have already, received a lot of that stuff. That's what the attacks are about too. I've told you guys before why the attacks are activations. When you get to a certain point and you're standing strong in your truth, and these beings are trying to attack you with energies that are meant for divines, all they're doing is ultimately, for as long as you're standing in your truth and you are rebutting and repelling that energy based upon the fact that you're in your power and therefore not buying the lies that were necessary for that energy to stick in your field in negative ways, you are actually getting those gifts, those powers, that access back. Okay? So, that's the first main, well, it wasn't the main download, it just came when I was getting ready. Okay, so let's get into the downloads I was receiving for today. And maybe it's actually more interconnected than I thought. Maybe as I speak, I'm going to see the thread. I really feel there is a thread, but let me see if I'm able to connect it all, okay? So there have been really grand physical purges that have been happening, and I want to say they began to occur around the equinox when everything began to shake, to help you climb into what I was telling you, a new balance that's in accordance with a higher experience of your truth, the rebalancing of your fields that had to occur. But then we also had the full moon in Aries that came in like I want to say a bull in a china shop, but that feels very like Taurus in the bull reference. But you get what I'm saying. It came in guns a-blazing. That full moon in Aries came in guns a-blazing, and it was ready to burn down all things that need to be burned down to keep you from equalizing your fields to enter into this higher experience. And as such, I mentioned, I think in like 2 readings ago, that for many of you, you've been going through grand purges, and depending on where you are on your own healing journey, it manifested in different planes. But for those of you who've been going through the grand physical purges, I see you. I see you. I see you. And I feel you too, because you know what? Whew, it ain't been no picnic, but it's been worth it, because for me, I saw it coming, and I actually put myself in situations where I created my own towers on purpose to tear them down, if that makes sense. In other words, I assisted the purging by going a little bit farther than just letting the energy purge me. But so it's been fun. It's been fun, right? Depending on your definition of fun, I guess. But there have been grand physical purges, voluntary and otherwise, and for some of you, a bit of both. And so my guides were speaking to me a little bit more about these purges that some of you have been going through physically. And while we've all been going through them for very different reasons, the physical purges occur because it's time for your material reality to shift. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about when I said it would have affected you on different planes. So for example, if you were going through, and for all of us, it affected us on all planes, it's just it might have been more concentrated in a specific plane. So for me, I felt it on all planes. But where was I hit the worst? Physically, okay? So, but I felt it mentally, I felt it emotionally. I also know that, you know, when I tuned in spiritually, things were happening there too, okay? It's like this energy of a grand reshuffling. I don't know, like, the way they're showing it to me, I can't really break it down because it's not showing me things like it's just like a wave of energy they're showing me, but it's like, I don't know, it's like if you, this is a weak analogy, but we'll go with it because it's the first thing that's coming to the top of my head. Like if you are, like if you do, what was that name of that woman who everyone, was her name Marie or Maria Kondo style, like cleaning, like where she tells you to just go into your wardrobe and just tip everything out. Now imagine your wardrobe, you're not one of the most organized people, okay? And you know, disorganized people, those of you who throw things in cupboards and close them so that your external environment looks clean, I see you. I see you again. I am you too. I'm working on it. I really am. It's part of my executive dysfunction, but I'm working on it, okay? So when it's time, for those of you who do that, you know that when it's time to tip everything out of the wardrobe, you're going to have a little bit more to purge and organize than those who don't have that habit, right? So when it's time for you to take everything out, she tells you put everything out on the floor and then start to get rid of what you don't want to get rid of and then organize, right? That's kind of what the energy of what it is I'm feeling like with this equinox, full moon in Aries, now new moon eclipse, which is really bringing in the order and the organization. The full moon in Aries and the equinox energy were like, okay, let's clear out your closet, everything on the ground. And the full moon in Libra now moving in through to this full moon in Taurus eclipse is about, okay, we purged out enough. We need to organize. There might be a few more things that we need to throw out along the way, but now we have thrown out enough that we can begin to form a structure and a system for organizing these things that are going back. And that's what I kind of feel this energy has been. But what my guides want me to speak about very specifically for those of you who've been going through grand physical purges and you may not have fully understood why, you may have known that it's because there are material shifts that are on the threshold for you. There has been, for some of you, a clearing out of the memory and the remnants of sicknesses that were formerly transferred to you for transmutation. I'm going to say that a few more times, okay? There has been a clearing out of the memory and remnants of sicknesses formerly transferred to you for transmutation. I'm going to say it one more time. Especially for those of you who like to take notes. I see you, my Virgo crew especially. There was a clearing out of the memory and remnants of sicknesses formerly transferred to you for transmutation. And I'm going to do my best to remember to post this video below because it's very much linked to a video that I did back in August that was speaking about sacral chakra energy attacks. And my guides had me go back to that just earlier on today. And as an aside, I am back on TikTok, but I'm taking a whole new approach where I'm just utilizing clips from both my channels for that audience over there. So I don't have to constantly be making content because I'm not, I spend so much time doing energy work that I love doing content creation, but it can become a little bit overwhelming sometimes. So this was the avenue that my guides told me was smart for me at this point. So I say all of that because especially for those of you who are dedicated viewers, subscribers who've been with me for a while, if there are clips that come up in readings and you think that they are great, that what I have to say is going to help someone else or it's helped you profoundly, please feel free to timestamp it in a comment below, like write, So-La-Rah, this was helpful to me, and then write down the time it began, because that makes it really easy for me to go in and pull clips that not only I think are helpful, but are actually helping the collective, and I can pass that on to others. So if you wouldn't mind, you don't have to obviously, but if you wouldn't mind helping me out like that, I'd really appreciate it. But I say that because that's what I was doing when I went into this other reading, which I'm going to try my best to remember to link it in the description box below. But I will tell you the name of it. It was posted on 13th of August 2023. It was called The Final Frontier, Closing Your Energy Field Down to Those Who Have Controlled and Dominated You. Okay, and this was in the aftermath of the 8/8 portal, where I was sensing a lot of, well, again, sex magic, specifically sacral chakra attacks, solar plexus. It goes without saying when you're dealing with the 8/8 portal, and I got into the reason for that also. I'll get into it here now. But the reason why, to go back to why these grand physical purges have been occurring and why there's a clearing out of the memory and remnants of sicknesses formerly transferred to you for transmutation, is I was going into it in the other reading about how some of you have been transmuting other people's karma, other people's sickness. People have been purposely casting that energy into your fields because they knew you were excellent transmuters and you weren't even aware you had this gift. And those of you who have this gift have very rich sacral energy, or you have a really deep connection with your own sacral chakra energy. And to be completely honest, a lot of that is forged through woundedness. Because I meet up with a lot of clients who have very high clairsentience. And a lot of the time, clairsentience is the ability to feel and to emotionally connect with energy, okay? And sometimes to the point where you can literally physically feel what's going on with somebody else, because the physical is just a manifestation of the mental and the emotional, okay? So pain, physical pain, is something that comes first through the mental and the emotional fields in order for it to even occur, and then for you to be able to sense it also. So if you're clairsentient, you might also be able to literally feel people's physical sensations. Okay? Now, people who have very powerful clairsentience, pretty much all of us have this ability. Okay? And some people just never tap into it, and some people turn it off, etc., etc. Some people have a higher quotient of it. It depends on who you are, your purpose, what you're here to do, really. But what I've noticed is that people who grew up in very toxic family households or in very dysfunctional families as children have very high clairsentience. And the reason for it, if you were to look at it from, a psychological perspective, or how they would speak about it in psychological lingo, is because a lot of the time when you grow up in a situation with beings who are abusive, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, who are very volatile, because abusers are always volatile, hence the reason why they're abusers, right? Who are very volatile in their energy, but not only are they volatile in their energy, but they use you to regulate their volatility. Because that's really what abuse is. They're using you to regulate their volatility, which is another form of putting their illnesses onto you. Okay, even if they're mental or emotional, it still is. They're using you to regulate themselves by not dealing with their wounds, and they're instead projecting, deflecting, and punishing you for that which they can't heal in themselves. Okay, so people who grew up in environments like that tend to be very clairsentient because they always had to read the emotions of their caregivers. They always had to read the emotions of authority figures. Okay, so it becomes a skill that is hyper developed in childhood. You don't realize that it's a psychic ability. You're not doing it for that purpose per se, but it's still that. You get very, very adept at reading people's emotions, so then you know how to respond in kind in a way that keeps you safe. That's why so many of you have really fucking strong clairsentient abilities. It's because it was over-exercise because of trauma and abuse cycles, especially in families. Sometimes, in school environments where you were perpetually bullied too. It's all the same. Wherever there was abuse, especially in your formative years and in your adult years also. But the thing about abuse is most of the time, the reason people end up in abusive relationships in adulthood is because they're coming out of an abusive family dynamic. Even if that abuse was covert in the sense that it was more emotional and mental fuckery and spiritual fuckery than it was outrightly physical abuse. It's still ingrained into your energy field, and that's why you go forth and you seek a love that feels familiar to what it is that you knew as a child. Okay? So, for those of you who've been going through these grand physical purges, part of the reason is because there is a recovery of the lost sacral energy, and your recovery of your sacral energy and your ability to heal yourself now and others on your own terms. So a lot of the time in family systems, the person who is used to regulate the family dysfunction is the person who is the most sensitive and the person who tends to be the most easygoing. And for that reason, and there are many reasons why, people target certain children and families to regulate the emotions of the dysfunction, but this tends to be a favorite. A child who's really sensitive, who really wants to love and wants to please, that's the one that will often be used to regulate the family dysfunction, because that child is easy to emotionally manipulate because they so badly want to feel loved. They so badly want to feel accepted. Okay? Yes. So a lot of you have been used, and we're not even looking at the obvious ways of the sacral harvesting, the energy harvesting that's been done to you, but let's look at just the energetic demands of being in this kind of family dynamic. A lot of you were used to emotionally regulate the family's dysfunction because you had a large bandwidth of empathy and energetic and emotional energy that allowed for you to take all of the abuse without complaining, to take it all without having an outburst. You know how you sometimes see families where the quiet child is fully ignored and they pay attention to the child that's constantly having a tantrum because they're constantly trying to regulate that child? Yeah, they're regulating that child at the expense of the other one that they're ignoring. It's all about family systems have, and I spoke about this in another reading, family systems have a point of stasis, even in their dysfunction, that they want to maintain. Even when it's toxic, they want to maintain it. And in order to maintain the sense of stasis where everyone feels like they don't have to look at themselves or to deal with energies that they don't want to deal with, they put it on someone else to regulate. Or sometimes they put it on their parents, who put it on all the children, just in different ways. And there's always one who gets more. And the one who gets more is the one who is most emotionally intelligent. The one who has the most ability to process emotional energy, the one who has the most ability to hold emotional energy. And your ability to hold emotional energy is always going to reflect the power of your sacral chakra and also your third eye. Okay? So those of you who've been going through grand physical purges, a lot of it is because you've been clearing out the memory of all of that on a cellular level. You've been clearing out the layers of energies that over time have become your reality in your own DNA and biology because of that. Okay? So now, and that's making room in order for you now to recover access to your sacral energy, and not just access, but how to learn now how to wield it for yourself. On your own terms, in ways that help you to heal yourself. In fact, some of you may have been receiving sacral activations specifically through these purges. They may have been woken up to help you heal yourself from the symptoms of the purge. You might have, woken that part of yourself up too. And the whole point is because that energy is for you. It's for you to heal yourself, and it's for you to heal others as you want to on your own terms. Okay, in that other video, I mentioned specifically how Jesus Christ, right? All of the miracles that it's said that he performed, which FYI, he said we would do more and better because we wouldn't have so much of the bandwidth limitations on the earth that he had to deal with. In other words, our consciousness would be expanded enough for us to reach these frequencies more easily at a certain point. So therefore, we would do more than what he actually did, right? And so if you know the stories of Jesus, he raised the dead, he healed the sick, he caused the blind to see, he took the fish and the loaves and he multiplied it, he walked on water, he did all manner of things that we've been told in our limited thinking, because we've been programmed into believing, we've been programmed into our root chakra, you know, and then that's been distorted too. We've been programmed into thinking that that is the only thing, that we are only material beings. And so therefore that kind of thing isn't possible. That's why it was easy for them to turn the energy and make it seem as if Jesus was the Son of God and we're supposed to worship him, which in and of itself disqualifies you from your own being Godhead over your own energy, because you've given your power away to a fictional energy that they have created. And it's not that Jesus didn't do those things, I don't doubt it, but the way they twisted the story in order to get us to direct our sacral energy towards this fictitious narrative is what is fucked up, okay? And the fictitious narrative is that we're not children of God too. And therefore, we don't hold the same position and abilities as Jesus when he himself said in the Red Writing, we would do greater things. Okay. So, I have been musing on the planetary energies. And, you know, whenever I do a tarot astrology, I tend to try to look at mostly the activations. I look at the attacks that might come in in response, you know, or the manipulation of energies. But my focus tends to be the activations. But what I've been noticing about, for those of you who don't know, Mars moved into Scorpio last week. Like, I think right the day after the 1010 portal, Mars moved into Scorpio, and we had this beautiful 0 degrees in Scorpio Mars energy as we move towards the eclipse. Okay, and I was getting some beautiful things for us with this Mars and Scorpio energy. But on the flip side, my guides have been showing me some of the shadows that have been coming up, or how they're using this energy to attack, okay? So the Mars in Scorpio, it feels like there are a lot of covert manipulations right now of personal will, and this is happening on a personal level, but it's also happening collectively. So, for example, you might notice that you've been feeling very discouraged. There have been a lot of fear frequencies that have been placed through, you know, all of the ways that they tend to program us into fear. They pulled all of the rabbits out of the hat. You know, whether it's through the news and the stories on the news, utilizing social media to get people to constantly post about certain things to maintain this frequency of fear, you know, or whether it's literally the shit they be putting in the atmosphere in order to control us. And I don't really ever get into that in detail here, but y'all know. If you know what it is that they be doing. Okay, so the Mars in Scorpio, covert manipulation of personal will, a lot of trying to connect into the solar plexus. And here's why. The solar plexus is the seat of your personal will. It is where you begin to actualize your power on earth. So I've been picking up on a lot of throat chakra blocks, throat chakra attacks, solar plexus attacks. Almost all of the chakras are under attack, but really what I've been really noticing are the physical chakras as well as the throat, because the throat is an entryway from spirit into the material, okay? So if you're not able to live your truth, because the throat chakra is not concerned only with you speaking truth, but living it. That's what the throat chakra is. It's what's connected to the fifth dimension, to authentically showing up as yourself and living in that way in your full divine power. That's what the throat chakra energy is here to help you do. And then the lower chakras are here to help you, actualize that. Take the steps to do it. Based upon your solar plexus is your personal will, your decision-making ability, and your ability to go out there and to do something in accordance with how you're feeling. Because the solar plexus energy is very connected to your emotional programming. The ways that you were programmed as a child is what determines oftentimes how proactive you are as an adult. Okay, they said say that again. The way you were programmed emotionally as a child will often affect how proactive you are as an adult. Proactive in the sense of how you go after things for yourself, not for others, for yourself. You see, the trick of solar plexus hacking is to be able to get other beings to surrender that for the use of others. Okay, so to get you to go after things for other beings. This is what the whole matrix workforce is built upon, right? You're not going out there building your own dream. The majority of people are out there going out there building dreams for other beings and getting paid, peanuts for it while they become fat cats. That's the matrix reality. And that's because your solar plexus was hacked. And it was first hacked by your parents, who then taught you to accept being disempowered for the advancement of others. Okay? So the whole thing about the solar plexus is what they're trying to do and solar plexus hacking, or, we'll call it solar plexus hacking, is all about overwriting your personal will and authority to access your sacral port. Your sacral port is the means, it's a portal that helps you to birth your creations, right? It helps you to birth your creations. It's also what connects you to the ability to birth abundance in your reality. So all of the signs are, they're very connected in different ways. So when you think about the fire signs, for example, so signs are connected elementally. They're connected through whether they are sister signs, which is always going to be based upon mutable, fixed, and cardinal energies. And then they also, like I said, they work together elementally, and then they work together through the elements that complement one another, through, the mutable, fixed, and cardinal, how they match one another in those, in that regard also. The zodiac is like amazing because there's so many. This is why I never buy into that craziness of saying that someone is completely incompatible because of their astrology with you. No, there are things you might have to work through, but then there are also always beautiful things that help you to work through whatever complications are there, because the signs work together like a symphony in order to create harmony and beauty, for as long as we know how to tap into the higher frequency of the sign. Okay, so when people come and tell me they don't like a sign and this sign is this and yada, 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 I'm like, go sit down and heal yourself. Because if you don't like a sign because of how somebody else treated you or what you've noticed in their lower expression, that means that you haven't done enough shadow work to appreciate the value of that lower expression to get you into the higher frequency of the energy and to appreciate the fullness of that sign and therefore appreciate yourself. Okay, but anyway, I say that because the Aries energy and the Leo and Sagittarius energy, they're fire. They're the fire signs of the zodiac, and they help one another on an energetic level. So Aries energy is your crown. It's your I am truth. It's who God says you are, who you've been sent to be in this incarnation. And Aries energy is who you are in the world. It's why you have an ascendant, even. An ascendant sign is connected to your Aries energy. Whether it's Aries or not, it doesn't matter. Aries rules the first house, your ascendant collectively. Your ascendant is the doorway into your first house. It's who you are, your I am truth. That's the Aries energy. It's like telling you who you are. Okay? The Leo energy, because it's connected to the heart and the solar plexus, is how you begin to take the emotional experiences of your Aries energy, for better or for worse. So whether you've been affirmed in that truth or whether you've been constantly programmed out of that truth, it doesn't matter. Your Leo energy is what then determines how you're going to show up in the world and live that energy out, which is why it's connected to the solar plexus. In other words, if you are born and you have parents who are parents, society, groups that you're connected to, who tune into your I am truth at an early age and help you to rise into your divine truth, okay, and help you to make decisions that are in the interest of your own self-empowerment, your solar plexus energy, when you go out into the world, it's going to be all about, you know, following that, being proactive about that energy, being a person who is confident, being a person who is able to pursue their dreams based upon their purpose. But if it's the other way around, and at every turn you are programmed out of your I am truth and your purpose, your solar plexus energy is going to, or your Leo energy, which is connected again to your heart and your solar plexus, is going to express itself as you wavering, not being very confident, giving your power away, not being able to make decisions, not being able to go out into the world and to shine your light and to be who you are, because you don't know, because you've been programmed out of that. Okay, so and this is what the Matrix grand design is to program you out of your divine truth. So your solar plexus is from where you make all of your decisions. Okay, and so if as a child you were never empowered to make decisions that honor yourself, and you were constantly being coerced and emotionally manipulated and bullied into making decisions to satisfy other people and their dysfunction, then you grow up to become a people pleaser. You grow up to be a person who is constantly bending your will for the advancement of others. So, like I said, I was picking up on heavy throat and solar plexus attacks, but again, with the attacks come activations. So a lot of silence and shame programming and shaming happening right now, whether it's happening physically or on an energetic level. I'm sorry, give me a second again. It doesn't matter. These energies are designed to shame you, and shame is the lowest vibrating energy on the vibrational scale. Meaning once you're trapped in shame, it's one of the hardest things to break out of. And that's the point. That's the point, because the whole point of damaging a person and making them feel ashamed is to make them feel ashamed of who they are. And it's also to make them guilty for being who they are, guilty even for existing, which is how people can be programmed into, you know, energies designed to unalive them. Whether those energies are actually literally trying to unalive self purposely, or whether it's doing things that really are unaliving energies like addiction. Okay, so the solar plexus is a seat of toxic shame, right? But it's a seat of toxic shame because it's mainly the remembrance from childhood experiences where you were shamed. It's the emotional memory of being shamed. It's the emotional experience and memories you hold in your energy field from being shamed or being a target of shame. And again, in these families where they try to use those who are more emotionally, who have more emotional energy, they use those children to, regulate their own dysfunction on a personal or family level. They will often shame those children, because if you can shame a person and get them into a lower vibration, then you can take their confidence for yourself. So, I don't know, like I want to give you an example of this. If you were a child and you saw a parent doing something and you knew what that parent was doing was wrong, okay? And you, or someone else in the family, you knew what they were doing was wrong, and you you articulated that, or you responded in a way because what that person was doing was wrong. And instead of disciplining you from a place of wanting, and discipline is teaching, right? Disciplining you from a place of listening, even if the way that you presented yourself wasn't entirely correct. Children are children, right? So, for example, somebody does something and you do something in response. Or, and this is a big one, if a parent does something and instead of sitting there and just taking it, you talk back. Instead of dealing with the root energy, which was the, whatever it was that disrespected you to begin with, because as a child, you can be disrespected. I know for many of you that was a huge eye-opener because you were programmed into states of believing that only adults were allowed respect, right? But as a child, you can be respected. And even those of you who dealt with those programs, deep down inside, you knew that too, which is why you would stand up for yourself. If any time you stood up for yourself, you were made to feel ashamed for doing that, or some kind of past thing that you did that you still held shame about was used to lock you into shame, that's an example of shame programming. And that's an example of how an authority figure will try to pull you into a lower state of shame so that they don't have to deal with any shame that should naturally come up in them because they're mistreating you. I hope I didn't go around the mulberry bush too much with that. But it's an energy exchange once again. So there are parents who will never admit to being wrong. They will do fucked up things to their children, and then they will make their children think that it's their fault that they acted that way, and they will never apologize. That's a form of shame programming. That's a form of making you believe that you're not worthy of respect. You're not supposed to stand up for yourself. You're not supposed to express yourself. You're not supposed to ever be in your power. You're supposed to just constantly give your power away, even to those who take that power to build up their own dysfunction, build up their own false sense of confidence and authority by putting you in places of shame. So your solar plexus is the remembrance of that. So that's why the solar plexus is a seat of toxic shame, but the root chakra is a seat of systemic and family and ancestral shame, and the shame programming that gets carried on generationally. So for some of you, I was saying to you before that, some of you grew up thinking that children aren't supposed to be respected because that's what you were taught. You were literally told that you were not worthy of being apologized to. You didn't have an opinion. Everything was about the dysfunctional, emotionally dysregulated, abusive adult. Right? And that is something that they inherited generationally. So that is the root chakra is where the program begins, but the solar plexus is where that energy is felt. I hope that makes sense. It's your emotional experience, whereas the root is just the habit and the cycling. And the sacral is the seat of toxic guilt. It's how they make you feel bad for, which then puts you into a lower, where you cement that shame. You're already feeling ashamed, right? Wrongfully so a lot of the time. And then you're feeling ashamed because they make you feel bad. And then they cement your place as the emotional regulator of the shame and the dysfunction in the family. They cement your place through the root chakra, because in every generation there's one. In every generation there's that child who took on the family dysfunction because they had so much emotional energy, and they end up oftentimes being the ones that are off the rails, and then the family will shame them even more. But that's, I went deep into that in the reading that is, it's marked as recorded August 14th, I think. So there's a lot of, what I'm getting right now is there's a lot of like 8-8 portal activations that are coming up. And so therefore, there's a lot of themes that were coming up around there that were being brought to our attention. And now it's like there's a purging that's taking place based upon the healing that we did at that time. So that's what I have for you in that area. But another thing I want to draw your attention to, because this is all interconnected. So have you noticed how certain figures who held grand amounts of global influence and pull are losing their reputations? And I say influence like that, you know, with quote unquotes, because influence means to be able to get into somebody's emotional waters in order to get them to do something. So you can influence someone positively. You can come on here, like you can share information, share your story, and influence them to tap into their own power and rise. Or you can influence them into states of disempowerment and lack to get them to purchase shit and follow you. And that was the world we were living in. The world of influencers, right? That's what it was all about. And many of the main influencers are coming down. And do you know why they're coming down? Would you like to know? Of course, So-La-Rah, we want to know why they're coming down. Because of you. Because you're taking back your power. You're taking back control over your solar plexus. You're taking back authority over your sacral energy. For some of you, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, 1818 on my clock. Some of these beings have been making sacrifices specifically to connect into your individual energy fields and hack your sacral energy. And in doing so, what they've been doing is sending you, casting all manner of spells towards you to put you out of the ability to properly tune into your own solar plexus. And they use many family members to do that because they knew your woundings intricately through these groups, these orders, these covens. So for those of you who know you're connected to these beings who've been stealing the spotlight from you and other beings in order to steal your magnetic energy, your sacral chakra energy is your divine feminine magnetism, your ability to attract and call in what is in alignment with your own frequency. These beings, like I've said to you before, have been cloaking themselves in your energy. And the cloaks are gone as you call back your shit. And as you heal and you reach the frequency where you are able to take it back for yourself and use it again. So there have been quite a few notable ones in the past week and a half or so. And this all ties in beautifully. This is the thread to the download at the beginning. A lot of you are about to enter a season of getting back shit that's been stolen from you on an energetic level that you couldn't access for as long as you were living in a frequency, in lower frequencies, which is exactly why these beings had a vested interest in casting spells, traumatizing you and keeping you locked out of that frequency so they could access it for themselves. I'm not going to get into the semantics of all of that right now because that's not what it's about, but that's the thread here. For those of you who have been following your soul's light, your heart, you've been doing the healing, you've been recovering your truth, you've been calling your shit back, you've been protecting yourself, you've been utilizing these attacks as activations to rise. Some of you are about to enter into, a window through this Scorpio, Sagittarius, through the end of this year. You're about to enter into a new material reality, and it's going to begin to, it's a material reality. It's going to begin to start picking up. You're going to start to see shifts materially for as long as you hold your stance in your power energetically. There's sacrifices. They're going through what my guys call the sacral energy drought. And it will continue. It will continue. Because even those beings whose fields are being hacked, like I said, like where there's been a transfer of gifts through family lines right now, those beings were being hacked too. You know, those beings who pledged their allegiance and their power to ivory towers and academia as opposed first to self and then also pursuing that, because you can do that also, but you must pledge your investment first in self. But again, this is about the programming out of your own power so that you give away your power to something else to build it and to feed it. And this is what happened to those beings lost in their intellectualism and their religion, to the point where they don't even have the ability to find themselves out of that box. They're being harvested too in different ways. They might not be targeted individuals like you, but that's a form of energy harvesting also. All of these institutions in the Matrix were designed to harvest. They were not designed to empower you. They were designed to give you a fake facade of being empowered because you know something more than someone else, but you don't know what's important. And that's the truth. Okay, so the reason why a lot of these things are coming back to you is so there's no more thievery. There's no more of that harvesting other beings, because eventually what we're heading towards, what we're moving towards, is the death of all of this, the death of these energy harvesting systems. This is why many of you have it so bad. Like I tell you, you're trailblazers, you're way showers. You're going through it so hard because you're the ones that are actually changing the dynamic that everyone else is going to enjoy. Okay, so, but this time you get to enjoy it too, and you get to be one of the first ones to enjoy it, but you got to go through, you got to, leap through some hoops and do some stuff in order to get there. Okay, so their sacrifices are failing them as you learn how to wage war, take back and protect your own energy and divine resources. So it doesn't matter how many sacrifices they make, and they're getting desperate. I mean, you just have to look at the news to see the level of sacrifices these beings are doing. Like, just pay attention. Your guides will show you where there are sacrifices being made in front of your face and they're broadcasting it. They'll show you. And they're not working. They're not working, which is only accruing more karma for them and more dharma for you, for as long, again, as you are utilizing the attacks for their activating power. Okay? So I think I'm going to get ready to go because I have an appointment. Let me just get you one card though before I leave. It's between the Moonology Oracle and the Sword of Light. Okay, I looked to the left and I saw the Sword of Light book, so I'm going to go with the Sword of Light. I am also back to doing daily energy, daily looks at energy. Okay, so for those of you who may not be aware, I had a membership group called Daily Alchemy, and it was a monthly membership, and I brought that to a close, I want to say sometime in June, and I've been taking some time off from writing daily, but I'm missing it, and so I am now reopening that on Substack at a drastically reduced price to make it a lot more accessible, because when I began Daily Alchemy, a lot of the energies I was speaking about, it wasn't time for them to be all over Instagram. And so my guides gave me a price point to keep it kind of more exclusive at the time. And as I got onto YouTube later on and started to share more publicly, it was time to transition out of that price bracket and as I grew, my collective, to make it more accessible to all of you guys. So that is the point. So I will be posting more about it on the community board. And I haven't forgotten, I know I still have to put up the information about the free mentorship in celebration of 10K, but like I told you guys, I've been under the weather, and when I get my energy back into balance, I will be doing that too. Okay, so please stay posted, check out the community board, and of course I will also announce it in a video. So let's see. Ooh. Whoa, I dropped the whole fucking deck. Did you have another minute? Oh, because it dropped so beautifully. So I guess it wanted that to come out. So we'll just take a look at all of the cards that came out or wanted to be seen, as opposed to how I would normally do it. So the first one that came out was your loved ones are safe. And this always makes me feel very much like Cancerian fourth house energy. We've been talking about that. But then we also had come out, you are protected, number 39. We have be a light to others, number 4. And then we have all is in perfect timing, numero 1. And we have change is coming, number 7. So what I'm getting from this is it's actually a more specific message. It's for those of you who have been through the ringer and still maybe, you know, clearing some stuff. A lot of us are still clearing things. We're just all in different levels in the clearing and the purging. And you're afraid to go out into the world and to shine, speak your truth, express what it is you've been through, however that is, whether it's through, you know, a channel, speaking, writing, you know, art, singing, whatever it is that you've had to heal yourself in order to re-access that confidence, that creativity, that remembrance. It's time. And some of you, the reason why you're afraid is it's not even just a confidence barrier you have to overcome. It's also you have a fear of how it might affect you, maybe your loved ones, because you are what they call a targeted individual. And what I have to say to you about that is that whenever you take a step in the direction of your divine truth and destiny, the protection that you need in order to be able to do that authentically and to do that in truth will always show up, and it will match your intention to be in your power. It's not an easy road. It's not. When you put yourself out in front of the world, you open yourself up a little bit more to people being assholes. It's true. But you also open yourself up to a whole bunch of beings who you're here to help and to assist and to inspire and to enlighten and to empower, who are actually going to be the ones that help to raise you up higher in your divine value and truth and power too. So don't be put off by fear of, like putting yourself out there, but also even exposing things that you know about that you feel would put you in a higher place of risk. If you're being divinely guided, remember what I said at the beginning of the reading, we're coming back full circle. If you're being divinely guided and your guides are telling you to do something, they're pointing you in that direction, you can rest assured you will be protected. Okay? And you can rest assured that there's a reason they're telling you to do that. There's always a reason why our guides tell us to do something. There's a reason why they told me to set up Daily Alchemy at the time that I did, when I had a very small following. There's a reason why they told me set it at this price. There's a reason why they told me keep it small. There's a reason why they told me it's time to move away. There's a reason for all of that. There's a reason why they're telling me now it's time again. There's a reason why they said to me last year this time, start a YouTube channel, when that was the last thing I really wanted to do because I had so much trauma from my first one. There's always a reason, you know? And it's always a bridge to something else. So for those of you who it's time for you to stand up and to be a light in the world, do it. And I might just post the reading I did last night because it is about that. It is time. It is time. It's time for those of you who've been sent here to shine, to do just that. The reading was very much centered around this energy of it's time for the stars of the new earth to rise. It's been declared that it's time on a planetary level. So maybe that's going to confirm and affirm what it is I was saying, and maybe I will post that reading. I'll see. I haven't watched it yet, so I'll see. But anyway, I've got to run. I will see you guys all again very soon. I love you. I've missed you. And I look forward to coming back and sharing so many of the downloads I've been receiving in this time. And yes, please, I send you so much love, joy, peace, patience, stability, focus, power as I grab onto my solar plexus, power. Every beautiful thing under the sun that is ultimately yours and is divinely accessible to you for as long as you are knowing this and walking as if you know this, and as if you don't only know this, but as if you are worthy of it, because you are. Okay? So until next time, be well. Mwah.